My name is Lindsay Blazninski. I'm located in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Philadelphia. I've been in the HR profession for 17 plus years. The past 7 years, I've really been focusing on employee health and wellness, and I'm very passionate about this topic. I've definitely been part of a lot of change management as a result of COVID, and happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. Natalie, would you like to go next?
Yeah, hi there. My name is Natalie Olson. I am a human resource supervisor at a company located in Rothschild, Wisconsin, which is kind of right in the middle of Wisconsin. I've been in this role in the human resource area for about 1.5 years now. Recently graduated from college prior to that. And I'd kind of consider myself an HR generalist, but one of the areas that I do kind of cover is the benefit and health and wellness side as well for our company.
So thank you. And Ray, you're next.
Hi, I'm Ray Barton, and I am at a company called Redlist. We're a software company in Pleasant Grove, Utah, and being a software startup, I do about 2 million things like every other employee here, but I started as the HR administrative assistant, and I've kind of taken on more roles from there. So I do all of the HR for Redlist right now. And, you know, especially at this time of year, we're definitely looking at renewals and what can we do to improve the things that we're offering. And I've really enjoyed this conference so far, as it's got me thinking like, okay, end of year is about to come up, renewals are about to come up. How can we start thinking about the best way to serve our employees?
So the conversation starter is kind of a general one. And this is, boy, I think there's so many opinions on this and so many views, not necessarily a right or wrong, but different ways to do things. So the first question is, what do you see as the HR role in today's organization? Who would like to give some insight on that one?
I would love to pitch in.
Sure.
It's interesting you said that we've kind of had this huge shift in perspective since COVID, where the power has really been in the hands of people applying to jobs, because I think the latest SHRM statistic that I read was a couple of months ago, and it was that for every 100 jobs that were open, there are only 70 applicants looking. So there's about 30% of employers that are really, really wanting for jobs for every job that they post. And it's really meant that employers are kind of looking at each other being like, okay, the people that are winning these bids for new employees, what are the things that they are doing? And it's kind of opened, especially for us, this idea that we have to be more creative about the way that we offer benefits, and more creative about the way that we source new employees. So it just means that we've had to look at the way that we run and see, okay, what are we doing that's just where we're trying to compete with these huge companies that were always going to do better than us? Mm-hmm. And what are the niche things that we can offer that are completely different in our space that kind of set us apart? So I think that HR, sorry, I'm completely tangent from the original question. I think HR is kind of trying to create almost like a good customer experience for new employees. Now it's the marketing side of HR and trying to make sure that the employee life cycle is as smooth as possible, and that employees have the best experience with their employers, so that even when they go on and leave, they're leaving good reviews on Glassdoor, they're encouraging people to come work at the company. It's just this whole new realm of where employees and applicants are really kind of hold a lot of power.
Oh, I kind of see the HR role, especially being here, kind of for 1.5 years, definitely been the marketing side. So I completely agree with you. And it's kind of, I thought that was normal, that, you kind of go out and you're constantly selling your company and you're doing everything you can to keep employees, but it's not. It's something that's just kind of been, well, of course, you're always kind of are, but this has been a lot more heightened. But Other than that, personally, I feel like the HR role has really expanded. I noticed that I'm a doctor at work, I'm a counselor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a parent. You know, in HR, you wear a million different hats. And I don't think a lot of people realize just everything that we kind of to a day-to-day that we kind of get opinions asked on from employees, from executives, from outside companies, that it's a lot bigger than even coming into it. You know, you kind of just think, you know, you're just hiring and firing people, or, you know,
Right.
just enforcing policies. And it's so much broader than that, especially I feel like now it's people come and rely on you just to talk for your advice. And who do they go to? They come to HR. And I've noticed that a lot. And so the role has just really expanded to something that I personally didn't really know all that it had entailed. Just, you know, seen from other job postings from college, from TV shows, how it's shown on the media. That it definitely feels a lot bigger, and a lot of hats are worn on from the HR department that people do. A big thing that I've noticed is kind of where, if the employee has a family or not. I've noticed a lot of the younger people, they just don't care. You know, we have very low costs for our healthcare, but even though they're paying it, you know, at their other employer, and they're paying $600 a paycheck, and here, you know, they could pay dollars, they don't see that. All they see is, well, I'm going to make $2 more if I go to this company, and I'm not going to factor in the benefit aspect of it. So you get those people who just don't care. They just like, whatever, I'm going to pay for it. But then you also, on the flip side, there's a lot of people who, that's the first thing that they ask about in the interview is, that's my first question. What are your guys' benefits? I need to make sure, you know, and a lot of times I notice it more in people who have families, or at least a spouse who's on the coverage a lot of times. And for our labor force, at least, it's been a lot of single men is our main labor force, I would have to say. And so normally they don't care, and they just are kind of like, whatever, I'd rather make $3 more an hour than get good benefits. But then you have the flip side of the people who are really invested, and when they see that someone has a really good healthcare plan, that's what's going to push them over. And so I personally think it's awesome to have a better health plan, and that's huge. And I want to get those people who don't care to see how truly important it is to have a plan.
Traditionally, we found it very difficult to get employees to see that the premiums that we were paying were actually part of their compensation. Traditionally, employees don't think of that as part of their compensation because it's not money that they actually see. And if they are single, young, and generally healthy, it's not a benefit that they usually see either. It's not like they're really going to the doctor that much. We have a lot of families in our company, so we do have a lot of people that really care about getting access to their wives who are pregnant. We have a lot of young families, so a lot of pregnant wives, a lot of young children, and there's definitely a shift in focus there. And then when we changed to the aspirational health model at the beginning of this year, we tried to raise awareness a lot. We did a lot of sit-down sessions and things of what benefits are, and and it's funny because there's definitely a raise in awareness when premiums for employees increase. That's when they start to care more.
Yeah.
But then we also introduced these other things, like one of them is an app called Amaze, and that's been a smash hit. It's kind of like a doctor in your pocket. You just, anytime that you need to talk to a doctor, you press the call Amaze button and you're talking to a doctor within 30 minutes, and they can prescribe things for you. They can diagnose right there on the phone. And I don't have to wait a week to go see a doctor, or you know, and then have to pay a copay and then possibly get another bill later. And so we definitely have seen a shift in perspective with the way that benefits have kind of been sitting in employees' minds. And we've also added in a wellness component too, with a lot of incentives and things, and grouped all of these things together to try and create a plan in which we're actively raising awareness in employees' minds as to what really happens in the healthcare industry. And
one CEO said, I don't want to do this, but I have to. You know, in other words, I don't want to change. I've got a business to run. And it kind of feels like, when I heard your answer, it's kind of like we kind of feel cornered. And And it seems like what I'm hearing in the last 2 to 3 years, that it's not uncommon to get a 10, 15, 20, 25, 30% increase. That's becoming almost the norm. And it is on, right? So you start adding 2 years together, 56%, man alive, nothing goes up at that rate. And so it becomes almost so there's a forced change a little bit for those that recognize, right? There's those way out in front say, nobody's doing this yet. I'm going to be ahead of it. Okay, you just cornered me. You got me. I'll do it. And then there's maybe even some that it's like, somebody will fix this. It's not, I don't have time, right? I don't know. The wheels fall
I
off.
think where I would like to go, I mean, I personally just right now over the next 3 years want to increase the choices that we give our employees, and increase their ability to choose what's really good for them. Because I think we've been in this cycle of, well, normally there's an HSA or a non-HSA insurance that I can choose, and I pick one of the two, and it's normally whatever's cheaper. And then whenever I am sick or I have something that's wrong, I just accept the cost, and I don't even know what that's going to be. So I think I really want to continue cultural changes in our office to really help employees really work the system to their benefit, and from the ground up kind of enforce that change where that kind of lowest level of the healthcare system are really driving for change, because they know how it works and they know how to not be used and not be not be subject to things, that they can actually go out and be really intelligent consumers of healthcare, because they have all of the tools and the knowledge and the guidance and mentorship that they need to be able to never have to suffer really bad medical debt and things like that. I'd love to be able to, and then just help them make the choices in their lives that mean that they don't even get to that point in their health where they need to get into any sort of medical debt.
I think I could definitely echo Natalie's comment as it relates to employees being frustrated. I remember the year we moved from fully insured to more of a level graded product, and employees, tenured employees that had been with the firm for 20 plus years that never had to understand coinsurance and out-of-pocket maximums and all of those, basic benefit definitions on an explanation of benefits. They did want to rip out their hair, and they probably wanted to rip mine out too. But having resources, having a healthcare advocate group, having a benefit broker that had a benefit resource center in place where employees did not feel alone, it was as important to educate myself and my team as quickly as possible to be able to help our employees, but then to have the right resources, because to your point, Matt, benefits are only one piece of, daily HR responsibilities, right? And you have to be able to juggle a million things in the course of a work week. So, being able to provide resources, but it's definitely a frustration. There's definitely not a place, in current day where the solution is there, right? It's still juggling high healthcare costs, frustrations, even though you can continue to educate every open enrollment and do campaigns all year long, to kind of reinforce that. It takes employees to be accountable, right? Accountable for their own health, accountable for the decisions that they make that have a financial impact. And not everyone is as engaged, right? And trying to get folks to, hold themselves accountable. It provides frustration on an HR's team, because you want to help your employees. You want to see them make good choices for them and their employees, and knowing that, the current system is broken. I think there's frustration all the way around.